Sangye Chedan Soge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchre Sangye Druparash Sangye Chedan Soge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchre Sangye Druparash Sangye Chedan Tsogi Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyap Jinso Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchre Sangye Druparashu. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, before lunch, we stopped with the parts of the mudras in the beginning of the Dharmapala practice. We will just now finish the explanation of the second mudra, which is the 6 mantras and 6 mudras, which actually is a very important practice because it is very important basically for purification of the environment and creating harmony in the places where we go. So when we go to a place for the first time, or especially in the place when we're in a place in the nature, for example, I saw Rinpoche doing this practice many times, for example, when needing to have rain or things like that also. And sometimes we may expect, oh, what's the special practice Rinpoche will do? And he's doing there the 6 mantras and 6 mudras. So basically, he already gave us the key very often. It's a matter of us using it or not. Okay? So the first part of the mudra is 6 mantras and 6 mudras that go together. The first one, Om Swabhava Vishyate Dharmate Benza Siddhihum, refers to emptiness. It's where we meditate all phenomena lack inherent existence. So basically, we do like it represents like a trident. Okay? So now with like this. So first with the right hand, the trident is going and cutting the other tree. So when we pass with the hand on top, then we close the left hand. Okay? This symbolizes the 3 wrong views of reality and the 3 wisdoms. So it's the wrong view of the self, the wrong view of phenomena gross level, the wrong view of phenomena subtle level. And then we have the 3 opposite and the 3 antidotes, the 3 wisdoms. So the 3 wisdoms destroy the 3 ignorances. Okay? So Oma Sobhava Vishyate Dharmate Benza Siddhihum. Okay? Then we do. So at this point we meditate on the lack of inherent existence. Okay? So all phenomena are empty of inherent existence. Om Sobhava Vishyate Dharmate Benza Siddhihum. Om Sobhava Vishyate Dharmate Benza Siddhihum. Namo Sarvata Tagata Bayo Bishomukebye Sarvate Kam Ugate Paran Heman Kankanam Kam Soha. Okay? So the second mantra is we do the same mudra that we have, the space container mudra, as we did before, with the 2 ring fingers that touch each other and the 2 middle small fingers that just lay above, like making like sort of triangle. And then with the 2 thumbs that touch each other, okay, and we go anti-clockwise. Okay? This is the name of the mudra. The name of the mudra is called Space Container Mudra, Namka Dzögichagya. So what we visualize when we do this mudra, we visualize normally offerings, like an ocean of offerings. So it's through the quality of space we can visualize many things. Okay? So first everything becomes empty. From everything lacks inherent existence of the nature of emptiness. From its nature of emptiness appears an ocean of offerings. So are transformed into nectar, the 3rd mudra, in which we put the 2 middle fingers jointing together, and the other fingers that's just going inside, and with 2 thumbs above. From the height about of the mouth, we just go a little bit forward. Okay, we don't need to go down there. We just go a little bit forward. This means they transform into nectar. Okay. Dopo, so in this next mudra we do that with the right hand as it goes down. The left hand is in the heart with the Vajra fist, okay, where the thumb is touching the root of the ring finger. And the right hand is the Supreme Generosity Mudra. This is where we offer this nectar, okay, where we make the offering. So the last mantras we have, it is generosity, giving. Then with the left hand goes down to the height of the navel, and the right hand comes with the index finger inside like this at the height of the heart. And then in the end of this mudra, we snap the fingers 3 times. And then after, the left hand goes back to the heart, and then we have the mudra of Amoghasiddhi, no fear mudra, okay? So one of the meanings, there are different interpretations that can be given, but one of the meanings is, okay, all phenomena are empty of inherent existence. From the nature of emptiness appears an ocean of offerings, which is transformed into nectar. This nectar I offer to you. Be satisfied with what you have, as there is enough for everyone. So don't fight and don't create any interferences and problems, because you have enough for what you need. Okay? This is one of the meanings of these mudras as we do them. Okay? Sure, there are other more deeper explanations that can be given also, but this is one of the explanations of these mudras as we do them.
Inferior beings to us.
No, it's not a matter of being inferior or being superior. Okay?
Feel like that to somebody, be satisfied.
It's just a matter of talking to sentient beings. Okay? So when you have sentient beings that are creating conflict because they are unsatisfied and so on, it means you have enough, so be satisfied with what you have. So don't make harm to anyone anymore. It's not a matter of being bossy, really.
No, but it's kind of
So
you don't.
it's just as it is.
Doesn't talk like that to us.
No, so anyhow, you asked me the meaning of the mudra. I explain the meaning of the mudra, which is this is how it is. There are different levels of explanation of these mudras that we can go through. This is one of them, and basically, as we go through this, it's a very important as a way of harmonizing for the environments, which means we need to remember also then when we talk about beings without a gross form, what we think and what we imagine is much more powerful than what we have physically. That's why we offer an ocean of offerings and everything becomes into nectar. The mental attitude that we have is much more strong than what physically we can have or not. Okay? Bene. So now we go to the important part. So, as we go to the first verse, I just want to say that actually these verses, from verse 84 to verse 114, are actually verses that we could go deeply into explanation, very long and very carefully, but we will not do that now because we need at least a few weekends if we go more into details. But we will try to give something that we touch each point, we understand what it's meaning, what's the meaning, we can reflect upon it, but not go into deeply details about each one of them, okay? So as we see, it's called reviewing the stages on the path. So we'll go back and we review. What we're reviewing means we have already learned it. So we go back and we review the stages of the path. The whole path to enlightenment is divided into 2 parts. Scegnente mbetsul, scegnentene lamla gitarlocio mbetsul. Che vuol dire? Which means how to rely correctly upon the spiritual guide, okay? Which in Tibetan we call Shenyen, which means the spiritual friend, okay? So how to rely correctly upon the spiritual guide, upon the spiritual friend. And once having relied correctly upon the spiritual guide, how to train the mind on the path. Okay? These are the 2 different. If we take the whole path to enlightenment, it's divided into 2 parts. How to rely correctly upon the Guru, and having relied correctly upon the Guru, how to follow correctly the path. How to train the mind on the path. That's the main word, the word that is used. So, Lama Tsongkhapa, for instance, he gave a long explanation about the benefits of relying correctly upon the Guru, the faults of not relying correctly upon the Guru, and so on. It is something that we can go very long. We're not going to go into these details right now, but the first verse, which says Shinjo Tampa Jun Lama La Churjin Kube Soa Tabetu Dele Tsawa Gombo Kyeni Ki Gyeshin Jesun Zembra Jingilob. To the power of having made offerings and respectful requests to you, O holy and venerable Gurus, supreme field of merit, we seek your blessings, O protectors, and root of all well-being and bliss, that we may come under your joyful care. Okay, I try to go directly to the point. We all want to be happy. We know that. And we do everything we do thinking it's the best for our own happiness. But quite often, we do things that are not really the best one for us. We may do things that actually we think is the best for our happiness. We try to do in the best way as we can, but we still do mistakes. Which means we still do things that are not really the best for us, right? Otherwise, we would be completely happy and satisfied. How many times we do something, looks good, and after there is not something which didn't go well when we didn't have enough clear idea, and so on. So, we don't have very often a very, very clear idea of what is right and what is wrong, what is the best for us or not, and so on. So basically, it's like we do whatever we can do based on what we know, on what we see. And that's correct, and that's fine. But until there is not some whatever condition, and or very gradually we are able to see the light, if someone is not opening our eyes for reality, we will not see it. Okay? It's like we can be extremely hungry and pass a lot of hunger. Okay? And we still can be living in a place where there's a lot of food. If we don't know that that's food and we never eat it, we'll still be hungry. Okay? So the point is that we need someone that opens our eyes. We need someone that shows us what is reality in order for us to follow it and to understand it. So it's like similar, I don't know if you ever had the sensation of being lost in a place and not knowing really where to go, how to do. Okay? For me it happened once. I was in India with my father, and we were living in the monastery of Sera, and nearby, like a few kilometers from there was another camp, which was camp number 1. And in camp number 1 there was the SOS children village, and in this children village was a friend of my father. His name was Chusang, the father of one of my friends, one of Lama's my friends, and he was a teacher in the school there. So as he was a teacher in the school, my father was receiving also Tibetan lessons from him. So basically, this day we went there. I went with my father there to see him, and we were talking until late, and then when we saw it was already dark to go back. And we were going walking. It was maybe 3-4 kilometers, something like this, maybe a little bit more. Anyhow, we were tired. It was already late. It was very, very dark. There was any moon, and we knew that there was the normal path which was going through the road, and it was quite long actually. It was going up and down, and it was a long road. Or we could go direct, walking through the plantations, to the fields. We said, okay, let's try to go walking to the fields. We could see from far away the monastery somehow, somewhere first. But when we started going to the fields, we saw that the fields were not flat. They were like this, and there was the things for the water to go up and down, and suddenly we were in a place we couldn't see anymore the monastery where was the reference. And we simply had no idea what to do or where to go. And you have insects around, and we are not used to walk in the middle of the fields. And it was also, we were afraid of falling down because you were walking and suddenly there was a big hole in the middle for the water and all these type of things. So we were really getting a little bit scared. And what were the perspectives? Or we walk in a direction that we really don't know where we get, and we may get hurt, or we wait until the next dawn. What do you do there, no? And suddenly arrived one man, one Indian guy, local man, one of farmers from that area, very, very simple man. He just looked to us in the middle there. He said, okay, follow me. It was very interesting because we needed to trust him. For example, the very first instant, there was one first reaction I remember with my father, can we trust this man? You know, you are in the middle of nothing and suddenly arrive a man, and this person, maybe I am afraid that he can steal from me or something like this. So you need to trust someone. So this was one of the experiences that I say, okay, I trust you. And then he started guiding us. And we were not trusting right away. It still took some time really to trust him. And he started showing us the path. And I remember very clearly, he could walk almost with his eyes closed because it was so dark. And he was just walking. And then when there was any dangerous point, like a big hole or something, he would turn on a match from matches. He had matches, so he would turn on one matches. And then he would show with the light of the fire a little bit for us not to fall down at that point. You know, he did this maybe, 20 times at least. So he was using all his matches. Very poor man. But he was there guiding us, and it was very interesting to develop the trust also as we went together. And also not only trust, my feeling, remembering now, it was developing trust and developing gratefulness for what he was doing. So slowly he was guiding us, and then finally we arrived in the monastery quite easily. Going up. It was not really so easy because we need to jump from places. It was not like very simple road. But still, it was easy because he knew the road so well, he could guide us with kindness. He had no obligations to do that, but he did it so well, and we followed the best way as we could. So we got there easily. So similar, we are in this path of our life, and we don't know really exactly where to go. We don't know really exactly what to do. We even don't know how to trust, if not to trust, where we go. There, at least we knew that we wanted to go to the monastery. Sometimes we even don't know where we want to go. Okay? So one thing very important is that when we talk about relying upon the spiritual guide, relying upon the guru, it is important that I rely upon the guru in order for him to guide me to somewhere. It's not that I put myself in his arms and do whatever you want with me. It means I want to reach happiness. I want to reach stability. I want to be happy. Can you guide me, please? Because you have at least done some more steps that I have done. You know something more than I do. Buddha have shown us this path. You have experience on that. Can you guide me? If we have this clear, then we can rely much better upon the guru. Sometimes happen that we rely upon the guru because we meet a person that we like very much, that is someone that it represents us qualities that we would like to develop, or this is already something, but we just get attraction by someone and we end up relying upon that person, and then slowly we learn that there is a path to follow, and then we learn to rely upon the path also. But the main goal is that we must rely on the path. Then the guide for the path has a much more important role. It's like a doctor. If there is a doctor that needs to teach me how to do the right diet, what's the role of the doctor? Showing me the diet and explaining me what I'm doing wrong and explaining me the right food that I should eat and not eat and so on. After, if I'm eating or not, depends on me. If I'm following the diet or not, right? But the important thing is that I must trust that he's giving me the right diet, so I will follow it. But I don't care, it's not important what is the color of his underwear, what are his political choices, or whatever. The important thing is that he's showing me the right diet and that I can follow it and receive the benefits. So, I remember sometimes I got a little bit, I don't know which is the right word to use, anyhow, I felt a little strange. Because here in the West, because I was used in the monastery the way I grew up there, I was educated, is that in relation to our own teachers in the monastery, we would never ever make any comment which was not positive or negative about their personal life, in the sense that I have nothing to do with it. I am receiving my teachings, I'm grateful for that. This is the relation that I have. Then, other things, if there is a need for something, like I remember my teachers asking me something related to their personal life, I would be very happy to help and to be there and to share something. Otherwise, I have absolutely nothing to do. And also, this is Tibetan monastic culture. You would never ever ask. No? Like even, I remember one of my gurus, Geshe Tupte Rinchen, he went for retreat. No? And many things. For example, one day he escaped from the monastery because he was about to be named as abbot. And in the abbot, it works, the monastery works like this. The monks, there is a board like for the monastery, somehow they choose names of the elder monks they want to be abbot, and they send to the Dalai Lama, and the Dalai Lama would choose the abbot. That was how it was there. Okay? And he never wanted to become abbot. So they had the discussion to put his name on the list. And then he said, I will never accept, please don't do that. So they were not accepting. So what he said, he escaped of the monastery. He said, I don't come back until you don't have the commitment that you never put my name to be abbot. And he escaped, like it was one day, suddenly people going for classes in the morning, he was not there anymore. He escaped. In the middle of the night, he went out from the wood, and he just escaped. Okay, there was one person that helped him to escape, my friend Losa Ninja, but I just knew that months later. Okay? So for a long time, nobody knew where he was, what he was doing. When he came back, was anyone there going to ask him anything? Oh, why did you go? Were you unhappy? What happened? This and that. No, nothing. You just go there, thank you that you are back, let's go back to our teachings. Simple as that. You know? Or another example, same always with the same teacher. They were, one time, my teacher, he went to make retreat. He stayed like 2 years in retreat in the mountains in Manali, in the north of India. And the first or the second time he was for long retreat there, I know this because his attendant was my friend. And he said that the first 3 months he was crying every day for quite a long time. And he would get out of his meditation sessions with all red eyes, which is not normal, generally speaking. Tibetan, like if you know Geshe Rinchen, you will see he's quite hard and stable and emotionally stable, like a rock. It's not like, oh, crying for anything. No, not at all. So it was not a common thing. Okay, but my friend, his disciple, his very near person, who would never ask him, why are you crying? It took him 3 months when he stopped crying for some time. Then one day he asked him what happened. He tried, he went a little bit above, and then he said, I thought that I was practicing Dharma for my whole life, and now I see that actually I was not really. But now I see that now my years have gone, and now I don't have the same energy as I had before. But I'm seeing that how many things I did thinking I was practicing, but actually I was just practicing the mundane Dharma somehow. No? So this was his attitude, which means that's his personal thing. Anyhow, what I want to say is that even in that case, it's like it's not normal to go and ask for one's own teacher about their personal things. Why? Because my relation is with the teachings that I receive in the Dharma. I don't know if this is clear. Okay? It is like basically this is how I grew up. Okay? With my teachers and with everything. I don't know, sometimes happens that maybe I see Rinpoche and Rinpoche doesn't seem to me very happy or whatsoever. I would never ask, okay, what happened? How is this? How is that? And try to understand. This is not my business. In the sense like, if I can do something to help, I will do everything that I can help. Everything that I can. But it's not for me to judge and to try to understand, because it's not on my own level to arrive there. And on the other side also, I keep my relation pure. Because the more we get near, the more we project also the way how we are on the other. We always try to judge the other according to the way how we are. So the more we do that, the more we project ourselves on the other, and then the more we create our own conflicts in the middle of the way. Okay? So what happened basically is that when we talk about relying correctly upon the spiritual guide, it doesn't mean to rely ourselves in the hand of someone, to put myself in the hand of a person. It means to rely on a path and having someone that can guide me correctly and on that path. Is it clear, the difference? Okay? Sometimes we don't know even of the existence of the path, and it takes some time for us to understand that there is a path for us to follow and so on. This is also part of the process. But the place where we need to reach, basically, is the moment in which we need to rely on the path. That's why it's said that the more we are on the beginning of the path, the less spiritual guides we have, the better. The more we go deeper in our path, the more spiritual guides we have, the better. Why? Because in the beginning we have the tendency to have more projections and to have a more personal type of relation. So if we have more, we create conflicts in between. And we have no certainty of the path. In the moment that we have more stability on our own path, then I can have someone that is showing me how to walk on the dark, someone that is showing me how to breathe correctly, someone that is showing me how to know the direction through the stars, someone that is showing me each part of the path.
No, in our culture we have this thing of asking people, no, how are you? And if you see Rinpoche upset, and you feel, I need to ask, it's like the way you're brought up, no? How do you start behaving more, less attached?
It's not a matter of being attached. First of all, it's like, I have seen many people, okay? And from all the people I know, one of the persons that for me has always been the most difficult, and that's one of the reasons why I stopped doing also, to understand really, is Rinpoche. Okay? What I want to say is that, for example, Rinpoche, he has a mindset that from what I have seen, that is completely beyond my own way of thinking. So if I judge him from my perspective, 99.99% of the times I am wrong. Okay? So he may appear sad for me, but what he's really feeling, I have no idea. Okay? I remember even with other teachers in India, they were one moment they put it, but actually after another way. It's like, what I want to say is like, I don't have from my side the tools really to understand. And the more I try to understand, the more I project my own view on the other. And this is what we do with everyone. Okay? So what happened is that basically we need to focus ourselves more on the actual path to enlightenment, on actually what is the purpose of what we do, more than on the physical person himself. Okay, this is one way. If we see someone that we love, that is our guru, that is, and he doesn't feel so comfortable or well for whatever reason that we don't know for us, what we can do and what we should do is put ourselves on service to say, okay, is there any way how I can help? If yes, wonderful. If not, wonderful also. It's okay. I think this is the way. Because sometimes, I have already seen that. I saw this with many different types of situations. Maybe let's make the instance with Rinpoche, okay? Let's say Rinpoche has whatever reason that at that moment he's not very much concentrated on one thing or another because his mind is busy somewhere else, okay? So for us, Rinpoche looks sad. And then we go there and we say, oh, Rinpoche, you are not well, what happened to you, and this and that. And instead of leaving him the space to deal with whatever he needs to deal, finally he needs to get out and make space for us because we need our space to do something for him. Okay, I saw this many times happening. This is my perception, no? I saw this happening with me. I saw this happening with me. I thought this is my own perception. Anyhow, the point is that it's important for us all of this year, when we talk about relying correctly upon the Guru, it's basically having clarity on our own path and on the relationship we have with spiritual guide. This is the most important thing. It's not something obvious. It's not something that we develop from one day to the other. That's why it's in the very beginning. That's why it's something that Lama Tsongkhapa put a lot of emphasis, and many other masters put a lot of emphasis on this, because it's not obvious. Okay? That's why we need to build it up slowly. We need to gradually generate this. Okay?
I think it's a kind of false analogy comparing the West with Tibet, because I've never seen gurus or geshes or whatever in Tibetan monasteries having 100 pink Rolls Royces. Okay, that's something that Western gurus have had. So maybe they were fantastic teachers, but my doubt is that it's my discernment that got me here.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm totally flawed. My perception of everything is totally flawed. But at some
Not
point,
necessarily.
well, punto, I don't know where.
Okay.
So at some point, my discernment says, oh, well, hang on a second. I mean, there was a case in London recently of a guru, no, actually, a sort of guru who was found to have, I don't know, I think killed people or imprisoned people. So let me put a very extreme case. So there's two things. One is that in Tibetan tradition, you know, maybe they're a little bit more.
Okay, definitely.
Like
I think I got the point.
Limited. And the second one is, you know, supposing the very, very extreme case, you know, somebody gives you pearls of wisdom, you get it, and you found out he's a serial killer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's very simple.
Mm.
First of all, when we talk about relying upon the Guru, that's why this is a subject that we can go on for days on it, okay? First of all, there are different levels of guides that we can have. I can have someone that is guiding me on how to read and write. I can have someone that is guiding me on how to behave on a certain type of level. I can have someone that is guiding me on the path to enlightenment, on the Theravada path, on the Mahayana, on the Vajrayana. There are different levels, okay? When we were talking about before, some lessons ago, when we reached the part of the Yuntin Tsuringyatse requesting the blessings, we were talking about the qualities of the Guru that we look for, okay? So when we're talking about someone that guides us on the path to enlightenment, it's not someone that we just look, he has the name, whatever, and then we just follow, okay? This is not the right way of doing. That's why normally it's said that we need at least to have 12 years of experience before we make a choice, okay? So this is as it's said to be. So based on that, what happens is that it's something that we need to cultivate and understand. I tell you, for me, and this comes from another perspective also, that the important thing is not only what is taught. Like, for example, if I need someone to teach me philosophy, okay, he's teaching me philosophy. If I need someone to be an example, I need to be that person to be an example for me. Specifically on what type of example I'm looking for, okay? Simple as that. So basically, I need to have my own discernment and my own experience to go, to check, to try to see, and to, through the years, to have the experience, is this a person that can guide me correctly or not? Maybe he's a wonderful teacher, but it's not fitting for myself. That's also very much possible. It is very much like this, okay? So the point here is exactly the opposite of going blind-fated and just saying, okay, I do everything. We are saying exactly the opposite. What we are saying is that we need to have a clear path that we need to follow, and once we have the clear path, then we can find the one that is guiding us on this path. But guiding us, it means many, many aspects. Not only explaining things correctly, it means also being able to guide us. To guide us means to be the example. There are many different levels of us. There are some people that must fit well and some others not. That's why there are, even inside our own lineage, our own tradition, not to talk about other religions that exist also. There's so many teachers. With some, I talk myself personally, with some of them I feel strong connection, with some of them I don't feel so much connection. Some of them have a sort of behavior and lifestyle and teachings and so on, which I feel fit very much well to me. Others have another way that don't fit much to me. So I choose where to go. I choose where to be. This is where my discernment will come. And this is where we need to apply our own. Okay? So the point here is that basically it's a matter of having our own discernment, of having our own feeling. That's why it's said also that before relying correctly upon the Guru, it's a long process to go. It's not just something, okay, wake up, this guy has a beautiful name, and has whatever important thing we just follow. It's not like that, okay? And it's not a matter of East and West. It has nothing to do with East and West. Actually, if we go to the East, if we go to the West, have always existed all types of people guiding people spiritually in all religions, in all traditions, in all countries. Has nothing to do with East and West. Anyhow, the important point for us to understand here is that we make the request, may I always be nearby someone that guide me correctly. If we have found this, Wonderful. So we request, may I never be separated from this correct guide. If we feel that we have not found it, okay, we should continue to look on and we make our prayers that we will go on that direction, okay? This is one thing. The point which we were coming before, and I just close this, which is where we need all to be careful in every type of relation, is that it's normal and it's common that when we have any relation with anyone, okay, what we do is that we have an idealized image of the person, of anyone. And what we feel is that when that person does not correspond to what we think that person should be, we feel upset. I had this feeling in myself. Okay, I went myself to this type of experience. I remember very clearly one day in India, in a monastery, where I found out something that my teacher had done that I understood in my own way, and it was for me very clear in that way, and I became extremely upset. I even wrote a poem that day, very sad poem. Okay? It was a period that I was writing poems, and it's very, very sad poem. It starts, I will cry, blah, 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 it goes on. I was extremely sad. I felt that I was being, tradito, how do you say in English? I felt that I was being betrayed somehow, okay? That, for me, was a very important experience, because finally it made my relation with my teacher much deeper and stronger, okay? But what happened is that it's normal for us to have an idealized view about everyone and about everything. And normally when the other person or the situation or the place is not what we expected it should be, who's to blame? The place, the person, the situation. This is our own experience. If we see that it has nothing to do with what we expected it should do, everyone is free to, okay, this I follow, this I don't follow. This is part of our own choices. So we should have our discernment. We should go to look for it. But just the point I wanted to make clear here is that we need to rely upon the path most of all. And then we have someone that is guiding us on the path. The more we have clear the Dharma, the more we have clear the path, the more stable becomes our relation with all our teachers and people that are guiding us. If we look, for example, in Borobudur, there is on the second level after the history of the Gandavyuha, which is showing this disciple, this person, this practitioner, that he wants to reach enlightenment. And then he finds many gurus. He have more than, I think he has 52 gurus, something like this, 50 or 52 gurus, okay? And as he goes through his path, he has many gurus. There is a prostitute that is his guru. There is a guy selling things that is his guru. Many people. Why? Because each one is showing to him a different aspect on the path for his own enlightenment. This is a person that has clearly his own path in his mind. Okay? So when we make the prayer here and we say, through the power of having made offerings and respectful requests to you, O holy and venerable Guru, supreme field of merit, we seek your blessings, O protectors, root of all of well-being and bliss, that we may come under your joyful care. May we all be always under your care, which doesn't mean my happiness depends on you, which means for me to be under your care depends of me wanting to be or not, myself relying upon you or not, okay? Which is not something obvious and is not something necessarily easy, okay? And just to say one thing, this is one of the points of the teachings that very often, when the Dharma started to come to the West, has never been much explained. Why? Because very often in our own Western culture, we have a lot of difficulty with this. We have a lot of wrong understanding related to this, okay? So this is a point that very often has not been explained. Otherwise, looks like the one explaining is saying everyone must see me like this or must do this like that to me. That has nothing to do with that. I'm here explaining me being in the same position as everyone else. We need, in my path, I need someone guiding me. I'm just sharing this with everyone. And this is for me the most important thing I have. Finally, the most important thing is the Dharma. But in order for me to have the Dharma, I only reach up to a certain level. It makes me remember, one time I remember I was with Geshe Shewanchuk. And then, you are there side by side with this wonderful great master, and I had no idea what to ask. Why? Because my ignorance was so big. It is still, but it was so big that I didn't know even what I could ask. He can answer for almost everything I could ask, but I have no idea even what to ask. So we need someone that can guide us, that can show us, that can slowly, slowly open our mind, and that we can trust. Okay? Building trust is something that takes time. It's something that is deep. It's not conceptual. Okay? I tell, for example, with my own gurus, I have trust that it's not conceptual because of this or because of that. It's something that is there, I believe, because there are imprints, connections, call it whatever name we want. But it's something on this sense that is very important. But it's the trust connected directly with the spiritual path itself, which is the essence for me. Okay? Well, when it says here, Guru Protector, it means the Guru, and he's called Protector as he protects us from our own mental defilements, from our own wrongdoings, and he's protecting us from our suffering. No, yeah, it's a way of talking to the Guru. So, next point. Lenchik samshi nyebe delchurdi nyeka nyurdu jikbe tsul tokne theme tsedi chawe miyen war thendam nimbo lembra jingi lob. Realizing how this body of liberties and endowments is found but once, is difficult to obtain and is easily lost, we seek your blessings to partake of its essence, make it worthwhile, and not be distracted by the meaningless affairs of this life. So, once we have relied correctly upon the spiritual guide, we need to train our mind on the different aspects of the path. Okay? And the first 2 points, which are in verse number 85, is realizing the preciousness of this life, of the conditions that we have, and realizing the certainty of death and the certainty of the uncertainty of the moment of death, impermanence. Okay, so basically, the point is that this condition, when we talk about this life of freedom and endowments, it means this condition that we have, this opportunity that we have right now here, is not the meaning of the life itself is precious or human life is precious. This is another concept, which is, yes, human life is precious because for every one of us our life is precious. But this is another concept. Here we are talking about how rare and precious is the opportunity that we have in life. So let's try to understand a little bit better. What we most want, as we said before, is to be happy, right? That's our main objective. And we have been trying it in many, many different ways. When we start to analyze and observe better, we find out that in order to be happy, the real way to do that is to eliminate our mental defilements, such as anger, jealousy, pride, miserliness, ultimately ignorance, and to develop our qualities, such as love and compassion and patience and ultimately wisdom. Okay? So, this is the best thing that actually we can really do for ourselves. Now, if we have a situation where materially we don't have the minimum necessary for our own livelihood, for example, we have no food to eat, is there space in our mind to meditate on patience? Very difficultly. How many people in this world? Let's forget about all other realms of animals and other types of life. Let's just think about human realm, planet Earth. How many people are there that don't have enough food, that live in hunger? Around 2.5 billion. Okay, from 7 billion people, 2.5 billion don't have enough food to eat, live in a state of hunger. Okay. We complain even if we need to do the 8 Mahayana precepts that we cannot eat after midday. Already start seeing people freaking out. Oh, how can I do if I have hunger? I cannot eat after midday. Imagine what happened when you really have no food and no perspective of gaining any. You get used. No, you don't get used. The hunger just gets deeper and deeper and stronger and stronger. So someone that is in this state and they are not filled can they really think about the spiritual path and developing their qualities and changing their behavior? Sure, there can be exceptions, but it's a very, very rare exception. Most of the times, no. So we are free from this. Then we have another 2.5 billion, more or less, of people that they are not in a state of hunger, but they are just above it. So from 7 billion, we have 5 billion people, of which half is totally in a state of hunger, and half is just above, just surviving, working that 16 hours a day as a crazy. They are slaves. Not declare as slaves, but somehow it's just living for their own survival and nothing more than that. How many people are there like this? Too many. Okay. Now I don't remember precisely, but when I had the numbers from the World Bank and so on, they were talking about 2.5 billion people in this state. So, when you need to work so many hours just for survival and so on, how much space is there for the spiritual path really? Not much. Okay. We need to worry not on not reaching the end of the month to pay the bills. We are worried of reaching the end of the week, the end of the day. Not much space. Then we have a whole number of people that materially have enough. Then people, there are many, many people that actually are sick with a lot of pain. Many people that live in states of a lot of violence. For example, I don't know right now, but I remember the number of some years ago, we had more than 70 armed conflicts going on. 70 wars going on. Okay? So it means living in a constant place where there is fear of being killed and so on and so on. Okay? So what's the thought that we should have when we are in this situation? How can I be safe? That's the main thought. Not much space for other things. Then there is a lot of people that live in a constant situation of violence. True violence. Physical violence. And so on. Okay? People that live in this state have no space inside for a spiritual practice. Okay? They can even pray. Oh, I need food, I need security, I need this and that, but it's not like the spiritual path. They're not going to meditate, oh, how I develop love and compassion for all sentient beings, and I need to develop this and that. This doesn't mean they are bad people. It means they don't have the space for the actual spiritual path. Sure, there are exceptions, but are very, very rare. Then we have a lot of people that have money, have health, live in a secure condition, but are slaves of money, are slaves of pleasures, are slaves of power. So many. And then there are people that would like to follow a spiritual path but have no idea where to start. Then there are all those that they like to follow a spiritual path. They start following a spiritual path, but they are guided in a wrong way. Okay. So basically, if we try to look on a percentage, how many are those that have the minimum material things necessary, which means to have a place to have enough food to eat without worries, having a safe place to live, having the possibility to take care of one's own health, that also have the wish to follow a spiritual path sincerely, that have someone that can guide them correctly, and then can follow such path. I'm not talking about Buddhism or not Buddhism. Huh? What's the percentage of people that have these conditions? Just look around, our own friends and family. Wonderful people. How many of them have all these conditions? Not so many. They could have. Could means not. Okay? Someone could have means not having. I look at many people I know. Wonderful people, beautiful people, but they are not having any interest in a spiritual way. What is their interest in? Just survival in a nice way. This doesn't mean that because we are Buddhists, we are necessarily spiritual. Huh? It's not because we have this title of being Buddhist and then we are following the sadhana that necessarily we are really practicing our spiritual path sincerely with the intention to change our behavior and attitude and to get out of the cycle of suffering. It's not necessarily something that we are truly doing. But once we do that, we become part of a very, very, very small percentage of people. 0.0000000 whatever. So we can see that it's rare. Okay? Why is it so precious? Because being rare necessarily doesn't mean it's precious, right? For example, there are many rare sicknesses, better not to have them. So why these conditions that we have are so precious? Basically, because I can have any external material condition. None of them will give me the possibility to change my mind, to transform my qualities, to develop myself, to eliminate the causes of my own suffering and to help others. To get out of the cycle of suffering, which is what I most want of all. The only thing that can give me this opportunity is practicing Dharma correctly. And I repeat, by Dharma I don't mean necessarily Buddhism. Much less I mean Gelupa tradition. I mean to practice sincerely a spiritual path. There are many manifestations of it. Okay? But without this, there is no other way. So what happens is that once we have this opportunity, it gives us the possibility really to get out of the cycle of suffering and to develop our qualities and take them with us from life to life. This is something that it's more precious than anything else that we can get. So we have this wonderful, precious opportunity. It's said that it's as rare as the probabilities of having such type of rebirth with such type of conditions as we have actually. It's like if we take a turtle, it's said to be a turtle that lives in the deep ocean. And this turtle comes out to take air once every 100 years. And the turtle is blind and deaf. Meanwhile, on the top of the ocean, there is one, how do you call that? One, like not a life jacket, like a life belt, okay? Made of gold, like golden life belt, is said. That but it's completely free on the ocean, going around with the currents. What are the probabilities of the turtle, which is blind and deaf, and goes up once each 100 years to put their head inside of it? That's the probabilities of us having the rebirth with all the conditions we have. Okay? We may say, oh, that's exaggerated. Just think well. Just look well. You know, I look to myself. If I would die today and I need to find my new rebirth, I have no idea where to go to find as good as the one I have. Really. First of all, I have the most wonderful guru. Okay, I want to be reborn near to Rinpoche, but now Rinpoche is 75. I die today, I will be reborn until I am on my 10, 11, 12 years that I can start really to understand something. Rinpoche is already 85 and like this would go on. So I say, okay, but there will be his future lives and so on. Okay, we always can have hope somewhere. But the times have changed. I have seen many great masters that as they come, they are recognized reincarnation. They could not develop the qualities of the previous lives because the conditions were not there. We live in times of degeneration. This is true. If I could, let's say I could choose my own parents, how would I choose? Where would I choose? Which country I want to be reborn? I have no idea. One time I was even talking to my parents and I said to my father, look, I think the best compliment I could make is that if I would die today and I would need to choose a father, I think you would be the best one to choose once again. Okay? So it would be like, it's really not easy to recreate the positive conditions we have. And when we think for each one of us, how much did we go through in order to have the conditions we have now? How much did we learn? How many times we hit our face? And finally we are here. So we die, we are reborn. How can we be sure that we will get all these conditions again? Sure, we take with us the imprints that we put in our mind, the connections that we create. But this doesn't mean that we'll be able to ripen them in the next life. It's like, I saw many lamas, like recognized tulkus, and in the monastery, that they simply, I'm not saying they were not the right reincarnations, okay? Who am I to judge that? But simply, they did not at least manifest to my eyes the qualities that they were supposed to have, because there were no conditions there. And this makes me remember one time Rinpoche, when he left Tibet and arrived in India, in the mid-60s, and the beginning, and let's say the mid-60s, Rinpoche told me that he went one time to Trijang Rinpoche, and he was quite upset, and Rinpoche was upset, and he went to Trijang Rinpoche and said, "Oh, Rinpoche, I think there is a mistake. I cannot be the reincarnation of Kachin Sapenla, such a highly realized master. You know, look at me. I am suffering so much conflict, so much difficult conflict, not but so much suffering." Rinpoche at the time, he had no money to eat. Or better, he would have 1 meal a day. And the other little money he had, he was then what he needed for the transportation to go. And then he was living in Varanasi at that time, coming from Tibet, living in one of the most hot cities of the world. Okay, Rinpoche had so much headache at that time because of the heat. He would go around in the rickshaw, auto rickshaw, he would have a bucket of water, and he would put some piece of cloth in the water and do like this for the air to get some cool air coming, you know, as it was going. And then they would go on their rooms and build a little wall where the door was and make full of water the room, so the room could get a little bit more cool. And the Rinpoche would buy, with Henry would have some little money, he would buy ice, put in a plastic bag and put in his head. Okay, Rinpoche had tremendous headache at the time because of the heat and so on. So, even the fact that now Rinpoche used nata, it's coming from that time because Rinpoche had very, very, very bad sinusitis. So the nata, it actually used to take away the mucus. So based on that, that's where Rinpoche started actually to use the nata in order to take away the mucus and so on. Anyhow, it was not an easy moment of Rinpoche's life. Okay. And even if we look, when he was living in Tibet, it was so difficult. Rinpoche said, actually, the first part, we're reaching up to India, everything was very auspicious and things went on very smooth. When they reached India, they start to get so much interferences. First moment, for example, they were in the middle of the mountains, coming down already in India, and then they were in the middle of the forest of the woods, and then suddenly they listened like boom, like explosions, and then the trees were coming down around them, and the big rocks were rolling down. They were making roads, so they were exploding dynamites, exactly where they were. Then finally, they were there, so each one they got dispersed everywhere. So finally, when they were under trees and middle of rocks. No one of their group died. And when they came out, there was these people from the Indian military that were looking to them like, oh, what is these people coming out in the middle of this, So in the middle of this dust there, they were coming out. This is just one part of so many things that Rinpoche went through. So it was not an easy time on his life. So he went to Trijang Rinpoche and said, I don't think I am the reincarnation of such a great master. If I was to be such a realized being, why would I be in such a situation? Look, there are so many people that are much better than me. Why am I here, Why I couldn't be into Shita? It would be much easier for me. Why to be here in such difficult conditions and situations? Then Trijang Rinpoche told Rinpoche, he said, you being or not the reincarnation of Kachin Sapenla, a highly realized master, I have no doubt at all that you are the right reincarnation of Kachin Sapenla. But what happens is that when we die and we are reborn, our qualities, positive and negative actually, we take from life to life in the form of imprints in our mental continuum. Until the moment that the conditions don't come from these seeds to ripen, we will not see the results. They will not manifest. So he said, when Tulku, a highly realized being that is reborn, until the moment that his qualities are not ripened, he may look like just any other ordinary person. Then Rinpoche told Rinpoche that, okay, one day you will see that your qualities will come about and they will ripen. That day will understand me better. Okay? So, this is to say that, sure, the qualities that we develop in this life we take from life to life. But it's not sure that necessarily they will ripen in the next. It's said to be like the seed of a lotus. And this is one time I was talking to someone who really understands of botanic and so on, and was telling me the lotus seed only will ripen, will only germinate and become the flower. A flower only come out when the conditions are perfect, and it can stay in the water there for almost even more than 2,000 years. So it's really when we see a lotus flower, it means the conditions were perfect and the seed was healthy. So similar to that, that's why I know when we look, after I learned this, when I looked at a lotus flower, it's a completely different way of looking, no? So what happened is that, similar to that, we can have wonderful qualities, but if we don't have the right conditions, they will not ripen. And we can stay lives and lives without having them ripening. Okay? So the point is, we have the most rare and wonderful opportunity right now. It's here. It's not tomorrow, who knows where, ripen, no ripen. It's here, right now. So we need to take care, we need to use it, we need to really make it deeper and stronger, because we have no idea when we are going to die. But we are sure that it's going to happen. So let's do something now. Otherwise, what happens? We get lost in the little stupid things of daily life. No, as Penche Rinpoche is saying here to us, may I not be distracted by the meaningless affairs of this life. What are the meaningless affairs of this life? Body, pleasures of the senses, material things, power, influence, relationships. All of these things is basically things that we have only of this life. I'm not saying these things are negative or bad. I'm just saying they are things that start and end in this life itself. And very often is even a bit worse, because we end up planting negative seeds in our own mind stream for completely superficial, stupid stuff. When was the last time we got angry for something that goes beyond this life? I think never. Most of the times when we get angry is because of what? This person said this, that person said that, this is like this, nya nya nya, nyu nyu nyu, cha cha. Okay? For superficial things only of this life. And then what happened? We have this most wonderful opportunity, and then we just let it go. Who knows, one day maybe I will be able to do something I will do one day. No, one day doesn't exist. It's here, today, now. That's where life is happening. That's the opportunity that we have. So the first thing that we need to train ourselves on the path to enlightenment is to recognize deeply the preciousness of this life. How precious. It's like if I am extremely hungry and I'm sitting on the top of a lot of food, and someone is teaching me how to eat, I must use it. Instead of just letting my life go like this. Because if we look around, how most of the people, even they have wonderful people, they can be very good people. I look to my friends and family around me. I know so many people that I really like them, they are nice people, but their life just go by what? Survival. Surviving in a nice way. Some people survive in a more fancy way, some people survive in a less fancy way. More pleasures, less pleasures, more intelligence and more knowledge, less knowledge. But most of the times it's simply survival. It's not making something out of this life. It's not like using this life truly and deeply as a mean for something. Okay? So this is when it says here in the text, realizing how this body of liberties and endowments is found but once. It's so difficult to find these conditions. It's difficult to obtain and is easily lost. Is easily lost is where it refers to impermanence. Even if we have a very long life, if we do not make it meaningful, it goes by like this. We can see Now we are 2016. Tomorrow is Christmas. Okay. Goes like this. Okay. It's difficult to obtain and is easily lost. We seek your blessings to partake of its essence, to make this life meaningful, to use this life, this opportunity we have, to do something meaningful. Make it worthwhile and not be distracted by the meaningless affairs of this life. Sure, we need to deal with the affairs of this life. I have this body, I need to do this, I need to do that. We have responsibilities, that's fine. The point is not that we need to abandon everything we have. It's the way how we do, not what we do. It's not I need to abandon my job, abandon my family, abandon my friends. That's not the point. It's how I relate to everyone. And one thing is for sure, when we look around us, most of the people live this life only for survival. It's true. No, we can see the reflection by the media, for example. What are the magazines that sells the most? Gossiping. No? I remember when we were making this book, Words, Vision of Wisdom, we had some studies on what was selling more or less and so on. The things that, the magazines that sells the most in Italy and also in Europe is gossip magazines. But it's not like little bit more, it's like 10 times more than the most famous newspaper. Okay? It's like shocking how much it sells, it's shocking. Then we look in the television. What are the programs that people most watch? Reality shows or whatever, okay? And like this we can go on and on and on and on, seeing how it's reflecting the life of most people around us. So when we actually want to make this life meaningful and we put an effort to it, many of us have the sensation of being going against the current. But it's not only a sensation, we are going against the current, luckily. Because that's what is the normality, just to live for survival. We try to survive in the most nicest way as possible, that's basically. But when we see how precious this opportunity is to do something meaningful in this life for ourselves and others, and that how life ends fast, then we develop the sensation of, urgency to do something in life. Not to let life just go by like that. I must do something. No excuses. Anyhow, life goes by. Some things go well, other things don't go well. It's okay. That's life. But we must make it meaningful by using it to develop more love, more patience, less anger, less ignorance, less selfishness, and so on. So if we make this life meaningful, then it doesn't matter how long it is, it's long enough. Otherwise, we can live up to 100 years. If we just survive, life goes by like this. In one instant, it's finished. Okay? So the second point of meditation, of familiarization, is actually the first of the path. Recognizing deeply, developing the deep sensation of the preciousness of this life and the certainty of death, and the certainty of the uncertainty of the moment of death. This life will end. I have no idea when. I must do something positive with it. This doesn't mean to have fear of death. It means to have fear of living a life with no meaning. That's the difference. It's the joy of doing something meaningful. And what can we do meaningful? Change our behavior, develop positive qualities, and nothing will happen from one day to the other. It's a gradual process, slowly. But it's possible. This is what we make meaningful. How can I help others to be more patient if I am always angry? It's not possible. So this is what we will do, each one on our own level, making our steps according to the size of our own legs. Slowly we go there. And then we can go. But like this we make our life meaningful. I cannot compare to others. Oh, for me, making this life meaningful can mean walking 10 meters. Because my leg is very small. For another person, it means walking 2 kilometers because he has very long legs. But I need to do the steps that my own legs permit me to do, allow me to do. And slowly, every day, go on and use this life as a tool, as a mean, not as a final goal. Okay, I think it's quite clear, right? So, with this, I think we will conclude for today. Tomorrow, I hope we will go a little bit through more verses. I think so, but we have no hurry to finish it quick. And but please reflect upon this first two verses, especially verse 85. Okay, and this because in front of death, our priorities change, and it's a certainty that we all have, even though very often we do not remember it. Okay, so just to conclude, it's very important for us to develop this deep sensation of how precious this opportunity is, and we cannot lose it. We must use it well. Otherwise, I'm not talking only about death, our own death. The conditions that we have today, who knows how long they will last? Talking about something that most of us, we don't like to talk much about. But now, we have our most precious guru, Lama Rinpoche, with us. Okay? Taking the normal events of life, how things normally we expect to be. At one point, we will all die, and at one point, he will leave this body. And he being much older than me, 40 years older than me, if things go in their supposed natural way, he should leave this body earlier than me. Okay, and then most of us. Or we die before, or he dies before. One of the two, or together. These are the three possibilities, okay? But the point is that the day that that may happen, some things will change for many of us. For me, for sure. So the opportunity that I have now, it's something that will not last forever. So we should not take it for granted. The days that we can pass together, the teachings that we can receive, the blessings that we can get, everything is, we cannot take this for granted. The opportunity that we have now here of having a healthy body, we cannot take it for granted. We're not talking only about the impermanence of death. The opportunity that we have of having a material stable situation. Sure, sometimes we have some little fun. Oh, we don't have enough money. A fun way to say, like, we play a little bit apart, we don't have enough, and we need to do something, and look, and we worry a little bit here and there. But I don't see around me people that really know what means not to have material resources. Really. I don't see that around me. I have seen in India, for example. I don't see much of that here. Okay? Who knows how long this can last? Okay? So we don't know how long our real positive conditions are here. Who knows if one day suddenly we enter into real war? Could happen or not? Have it ever happened in the past? Yes. Okay? So we don't know really what can happen. But now we live, as Rinpoche says to us, in a golden age. For us personally. So we need to use it in the best way as we can. Not letting our days go by with nya 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 because he said the other thought, I wished, because this is, that is not. No? Otherwise we will go through the whole life, and finally by the end of the life what we get familiarized with? Nya 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 nya. And we are reborn, and what's the imprints we bring in our mind? Nya 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 nya. That's the imprints we bring with us, okay? And that's not what I want for myself, at least, okay? So, and that's not what I wish for anyone else. So please, we have this opportunity, and it's so rare, so precious. It's not only the fact that we will die. It's the fact of the rest opportunities that we have around us. And we really have no idea when it's going to finish, how things develop. So many things happen that we never expected. So many times. So we need to really use the best as we can now what we have. That's the main point. If we do it, when there will be any change, it will be fine. We will be peaceful with it because we used in the best way as we could. If we have the opportunities getting better and better, wonderful. We will learn how to use them well. But please don't just let our precious opportunities just go like that. Otherwise, we lose it. Okay? So tomorrow we'll continue with the other verses. Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkar chile chochur gepada lo santem drove musel tatu negur Nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delekshin Niensen takto delekpe Concho sumge jingilo Concho sumge ngodrup sol Concho sumge trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realization and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.